I couldn't resist.
I was like, huh? The Jocker or whatever. Oh, man.
Go good with the Victorville Film Archives VFA shirt you have.
Yeah. Even though I, like, never wear that shirt because it's like wearing steel wool.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like the worst. Yeah, it's like the toughest shirt I've ever owned in my entire life.
Is the Jocker one the same quality?
No, it's actually like that one is actually like softer than shit, which is like I love that.
Nice.
You know, in a shirt that you're gonna wear against your fucking skin. It's like the other one's like wearing a burlap sack, ripping your nipples off. It's like go. I'd have to pretty much wear like a undershirt, and I don't really do that when I wear shirts. I don't wear an undershirt. You know what I mean? Because t-shirts for me are like the undershirt, so I don't wear a shirt under a shirt. I remember a couple of our friends used to do that. They would wear like a shirt under their shirt. Like I think Kevin Brown used to do that. So hopefully he's not watching the podcast right now. Shout out to shirt undershirts.
Are we live?
We sure are. I probably should have said
no!
that, but that's okay. I don't know how this works. We're on a new platform right now. We're actually broadcasting on YouTube, sir. Which, well, you were in last night, but yeah, we're trying out YouTube, and yeah, hopefully it'll go good for us.
Cool.
I think I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it'll work. So how have you been, sir?
I've been good. How about you?
The week's been treating you good? Good. Yeah, same. Just, chilling out and all that fun stuff. I guess we should probably we'll just get right into it here, sir.
All right.
Let's
do it.
We'll do it. Let's do it. And then it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, this is like a free fucking thing. It's like, okay, so Recommendation Nation.
Gonna start with Recommendation Nation.
Oh wait, that's right. I always fuck these up. Normally it's nerd news.
It doesn't matter.
Well, the way you said it sounded like it kind of mattered. You were like, "Do you really want to start that way? Do you really want to start? Do you really want to start with a recommendation? We want to inform the people before we tell them.
Let's do it.
Well, do it. Well, let me switch the thing back here then. Okay, Recommendation Nation.
Recommendation Nation.
I think I kind of put you off there. You were like, "Oh,
Recommendation Nation."
Oh, God damn it. Geico had this played on this web page with fucking Dick Vitale pouring fucking not gasoline, fucking, what's it called on himself? I forget what it's called. Gatorade. Okay. Maybe it wasn't Dick Vitale. It was some bald fuck. Okay. So, you go first. I will defer to you as usual, sir.
All right. Well, this is a follow-up from a recent nerd news.
Okay, so was this a recommendation? Or wait, what does this have? This doesn't have anything to do with a previous like news or anything like that?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it does. Okay.
My Recommendation Nation is Lost Themes 3 by John Carpenter. New album.
Okay, I thought that we already did that, but maybe we just talked about it.
We talked about it before, but that was before it came out.
That's true. The Buddy Boys will have to fact check me.
It's really good. What? The Buddy Boys want recommendations, and they want follow-ups to the news that's reported on.
I know they want to, but that I was just saying they should fact check me to make sure I'm not full of shit there.
I'm sure they will. They better.
Yeah. I think the Buddy Boys are maybe just all in your head.
Oh, they're out there.
They're like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. They're out there somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked at all. I mean, I listened to it, I knew it was gonna be great before it even came out. It's John Carpenter, but I listened to it and it was legit as fuck.
It's so good.
I think that another recommendation that'll probably come up is Liquid Tension Experiment 3, because I listened to like their first 2 tracks they released and they were fucking legit.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if we talked about that one before yet.
I don't think we did, actually. I think that's...
Yeah,
we generally don't talk about music on this podcast unless it's like... And not that we don't like
we
music,
should get into
but...
more music stuff, I think. But yeah, Liquid Tension
Yeah.
Experiment 3, 21 years in the making.
Yeah. I think I generally don't... I don't know. I guess I don't really have anything to... I mean, I generally don't find music. You know what I mean? It kind of just... Like, I don't go out and look for it. Because, like, there's so much shit. So it's, like, hard for me to find anything I like. So generally I just...
You went out and looked for Bruno.
Yeah, well, that's
Found
true.
It changed your life forever.
Yeah, it did. Now I'm homeless. I'm actually streaming this from a fucking box. Boxcast. Okay. So,
Yep, that's mine.
nice. Yeah, I would totally agree with you on that. I liked what I heard of it. I didn't listen to the whole album, but it's very, very good. And it's like, it's definitely got that same John Carpenter feel to it, but like, yeah, it's Lost Themes is, if, people have listened to the podcast before, but if this is your first time, essentially, yeah, like, Lost Themes are just what they sound like. It's, if he had made that movie, that could have been a theme to one of his movies. So.
Yeah, and it's rare that, like, an artist that their work is as good as it has always been when they're old. You know what I mean? Usually, like, there's a decline in quality over time.
Yeah, I think that's just, yeah, most people... Well, not most people, but I think it's also, like, people that aren't actually... What is it, like... Not that they're not gifted, but they're not, like... They don't have that special thing that, like, John Carpenter does, where, like, he can see a movie before he even creates it. And, like, that's why there's not very much, like... bullshit, that you hear about as far as like they didn't know what to do with this or that. It's like they legit after the fact, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's like one of those things where I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess like he knew what he wanted to make in the movie, and there was no like, well shit, what do we do at this point? How do I'm trying to, like, give the ID out to Trav here, because I guess he actually decides he wants to join us. Cadet.
Oh, nice.
Let's see if I can... I think that's it. I'm like, stall! Stall for me!
Well, let me talk a little bit about John Carpenter.
Okay.
He was born in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
He was born a poor black man.
You know he's from Kentucky? Only a couple hours away.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah. But then he quickly moved to California and became a Californian for life.
He became a poor black man for life.
And when I shook his hand a few years ago, it felt like a dead fish. And it was ice cold.
Didn't he get like skin cancer as well when they were filming like The Thing? I heard.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because it was so bright. Oh, it looks like Cadet has joined.
Yeah, how's it going?
Hey, this is Cadet. For people that don't know, is my brother, and he's also a longtime fan of the podcast, or so he says. Who knows?
He's one of the buddy boys.
That's true. At least he's not a brawny lad. Brawny lads are
Delicious.
fucking gross.
Yeah, I'll let you guys go ahead here. I'll just try them.
Okay. Do you have a recommendation?
No.
Fair enough. So my recommendation for this week is I don't know if I've recommended this before. I can't remember, but if I fuck this up, this podcast
Watch
is
out,
over.
counselor. Nothing nice.
You're like, I propose a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum. I I would say Spider-Man for the PlayStation, like the exclusive one, the Sony. It's like Sony Presents or whatever, like Marvel's Spider-Man. It's like pretty much the only one I've played within the last like 20 years. It was like any good as far as like that goes.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean it's like one of those open world games and stuff, but they actually, I don't know. It's just very cinematic and stuff too. I mean, there's plenty of gameplay, obviously, but like, you know, in one of those kinds of games, if you're into Spider-Man, that's kind of what you want. Is like the whole feeling of being Peter Parker and stuff. So it's kind of an old game by now, but they re-released it on the PlayStation 5. So I guess if you have a Sony console, you can play it. If you can't, I'm sorry. Get in or get out. It's Nerf for nothing.
Can he become the evil Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3?
They don't really have
Directed
they don't really have a morality thing in that game. I think some of the other ones maybe they didn't. I think the last one I played that had something like that was Spider-Man 3, where they like botched the fuck out of the video game, and it's probably like one of the worst games that they've ever made as far as Spider-Man goes. Like, we'll have to talk about that sometime. It's fucking horrible. Or we just talked about it enough right there, actually. No more reason to talk about it. Okay, let's go on to nerd news.
All right, nerd news. Ding, ding, ding.
Holy shit! Look at this. We got the
What do you got?
What do you got? So I don't know if anybody knows, but I'm a huge fan of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the series, not the James Cameron movie, and not the live action film that like fucking what's his face botched, like the animated one, which is actually up on Netflix right now. You can watch all of that, and it's also, they made like a sequel that takes place like years later called like The Legend of Korra. That's like the next Bender, but like apparently like they're gonna expand on all that stuff because the people that like made it like years and years ago are actually like, they founded like a studio called like Avatar Studios, and they're making like an actual animated film that's gonna be one of the first. It'll be the first thing that they're doing with like the new. You know, like coming back to that project, because I think they've done stuff after that, but then they're kind of coming back to it because it's been so popular. So the original creators are like coming back to like make a film, and then they're probably going to do a bunch of other stuff. So I was pretty excited about that, because like the show itself is like one of the probably best shows I've ever watched, as far as like there's no like, I mean, especially animated stuff where there's no like stuff that happened in it that was like, okay, this is a filler episode or anything like that. A lot of shows are like that, sadly. And, but like then they made the live action movie, and it sucked because they didn't have those people like actually on board at all. It was like literally just all M. Night Shyamalan hiring a bunch of fucking random fuckers to be in that movie. And then like, you know, I think like they had to call it like The Last Airbender. Or they did. I don't know why they did that. It's not like Avatar: The Last Airbender was like copyrighted, but yeah. Hopefully they'll get back to like the, you know what I mean, the stuff that people want to see instead of the live action bullshit that like nobody wanted to see.
Cool. But, that's cool.
Yeah.
I also have, speaking of things that nobody wants to see,
Avatar: The Last Airbender. Just they're making another movie. I'm like, fuck no.
Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5.
I love how they have an Avatar world in Disneyland, and they haven't even made a sequel yet. It's like, what? Anyway, go ahead.
Is there anyone who's pumped for that?
Maybe Dan. Remember he was like super pumped about that before it even came out.
Everyone was. And then everyone saw it and was like, that was okay.
I've never seen it, and I was never really pumped for it. I didn't really think that it looked good at all.
No, you never saw it?
No.
Yeah, you're not missing too much.
I mean, I just heard it was Ferngully, like CG, live action.
It was.
Which is not a bad story. It's just, it's already kind of been done. I don't know. I wouldn't mind watching it if somebody nominated it, but it's also like, I think it was blown up because
that would suck.
James Cameron was involved, but like James Cameron isn't like the end all be all. You know what I mean? He's made horrible shit. Everybody's made horrible shit. Like, even John Carpenter like made at least one bad movie. or bad show. I think he made that like, what was that? He made that like, he made something that was like part of that anthology, like cigarette burns, and I was like, this is fucking the shits, dude. Anyway, not the shit.
What do you think about Avatar? Did you see it? We lost him.
Avatar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've not seen it.
I'm not missing much. All right, moving on.
Wait, was that your news?
No, my.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of something no one wants to see, there's going to be a Terminator anime series on Netflix.
Is Arnold gonna voice a character?
I don't know. But I was thinking, like,
yeah.
Why don't they just let this franchise end?
Because me and you keep seeing them like dumbasses.
I guess we're part of the problem.
We're always like I'm always like, this movie looks like shit, and then like you're like, we gotta go see it, and I'm like, you know what, you're right, we do, and then we see it, and we're like,
the Terminator's my favorite.
The
movie.
2 seconds that Arnold is in the movie is the only good part of these movies. Like, honestly, like if they just had him be in the movies and it was just him, like for like 90% of the movie, it would probably be like actually really good. But it's not. Yeah. It's like these random no-name actors, and then they got like what's her face back, Linda Hamilton, to play like Sarah Connor in one of them, in the last one we saw. But like no one's gonna be better than like the T-1000. Like that guy was just the perfect villain. They've had all these like supermodels play like the bad guys that like they can't act, or they don't even give them lines. So it's like,
yeah.
Okay.
Just let it end. There hasn't been a good Terminator movie that people have liked in 30 years.
Yeah, I think the last one I actually really liked was Terminator 2.
That was the last good one.
Yeah. Like the only good, yeah, because like there are parts of these movies that are kind of okay, but like none of them were like even close to as good as Terminator 2. I knew I was kind of like, fuck Terminator when like I saw Terminator 3 in theaters, and like they like did the whole bullshit where they were like, we didn't like stop apocalypse, we just pushed it back. And I was like, okay, they're just gonna be able to do this for the next 1,000 movies, just rewrite history and retcon shit. And they did. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super offended by like a Terminator anime, honestly, at this point, because by this point the franchise is dead. It's not shocking to me. It's just another thing that is gonna be out there that, you know, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? Which is funny, if you would have told me in like when I was a kid, when Terminator was a thing, that if like, you know, when I was older, that Terminator would be a franchise where I'd be like, who cares? I'd be like, you're full of shit. But Terminator, Aliens, Predator, all that shit's pretty much ruined at this point. Like Star Wars, who gives a fuck? Our lives are fucked. Actually, no, we're fine.
No, our lives are enriched by movies like Law Abiding Citizen.
I agree. That's a great segue. Let me go ahead and let's get off this bullshit and talk about a good movie. Okay, so we're talking about Law Abiding Citizen, which was nominated by the person in here with us, Cadet. So Law Abiding Citizen, I'm going to just go over real quick here. It's a 2009 American vigilante action thriller film, very specific, directed by F. Gary Gray, which when I read that at the end of the movie, I was like, what? Is that like a fucking pseudonym? From a screenplay written by Kurt Wimmer, which it stars Gerard Butler, I think that's right, and as far as how to say his name, and Jamie Foxx, and takes place in Philadelphia. So, like, I guess before I get into, like, any spoilers with, like, the plot or anything like that, I'm assuming everybody here, you know, you like this movie, Trav, right? You nominated it.
Trav's like, I've never seen it.
Yeah. I loved 99% of this movie. I'll say, actually, 98 of it.
Oh, man.
So,
what's the 2%?
We'll get into that once I go over the synopsis of this movie.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
I was actually...
I thought it was like, I couldn't believe how outrageous it was.
I was actually surprised I'd never like seen this movie, or I mean, like I might have heard of it, but I was shocked this
I
movie.
remember when the trailers came out, and I thought it looked boring, and this is like the least boring movie of all time.
That's why I fucking hate trailers, dude. Like, I think we've talked about this a million times. People that edit trailers, like, trailers themselves pretty much ruin movies. Because it's like 99% of the time they make a movie look 100 times worse than it actually is. So it's like, this movie, if it had been edited in the trailer form better. Because I think I did see the trailer for this too. And there was a specific time that I remember seeing, and they took a, like, random Jamie Foxx quote and put it up against, like, a random Gerard Butler quote. And it was like, just made the movie look like, who gives a fuck? But this movie is fucking awesome, so I don't really understand what that was all about. Okay, so I'm going to get into the actual, like, plot synopsis and, like, spoilers here, because I'm going to go and talk about the whole film so that we can actually get into talking about the movie. So, Clyde Shelton, which is Gerard Butler's family, is brutally murdered. The ones responsible are caught. However, because of improper procedure, the DA, or whatever it's called, Nick Rice, has only circumstantial evidence, so he decides to get one of them to testify against the other. When Sheldon learns of this, he is not happy. 10 years later... So this synopsis, I got off IMDb, and it was the only one that kind of talked about everything. So this is fucking horrible. I'm sorry, I must apologize. Because it's pretty much like... Yeah, him being not happy is like an understatement. The one who is convicted is being executed, but something goes wrong. His execution goes awry, and he suffers. They learn that someone has tampered with the machine, and the other one is found dead, killed in a gruesome manner. Rice suspects Sheldon, so he has him picked up. At first, Sheldon agrees to a plea agreement with Rice, but changes his mind. It appears that Sheldon is not done. It appears he blames the whole system. It is declaring war on it after everyone involved with his family's case. So Rice has to stop him, but Sheldon is way ahead of him. Okay.
Interesting write-up.
Yeah, it's fucking horrible. It also leaves out the end of this movie, which is like the percentage of it that I fucking hated. So at the end of this movie, like, O'Brien from Star Trek and fucking Jamie Foxx, like, find out that, like, you know, Gerard Butler's character had all this shit set up, and he actually, like, he got put in prison and in solitary confinement specifically so that he could, like, sneak out of prison, because he, like, drilled into prison years ago. Because pretty much from when the first thing happens in this movie, it goes, like, 10 years later. So in all that time, he's setting all this shit up, and he, like, drills in, he buys this property right next to the fucking prison, and then, like, drills into the prison and puts a thing behind all of the cells in, like, in what's it called, solitary confinement. And so every night he's going out, or every day or whenever, and he's going out and he's got all these costumes and shit. So they find out all this shit, and then at the end of the movie, when he's gonna, like, blow up these, like, bad guys with a bomb, like, they switched out the bomb and fucking he blows himself up. And
the part you didn't like?
The part I didn't like was that, like, they were even able to, like, outsmart him. Because I was like, there's a part in this movie where they go to, like meet this guy that knows Gerard Butler from, like, his time in the service, I guess. And he's like, dude, this guy is so smart that he's, like, a genius, and if he wants you dead, you're fucked and stuff. And so Jamie Foxx and this other, like, random guy, like, not random, it's called Meanie, the guy from Star Trek that played, like, O'Brien and stuff. He's also been in, like, I think it was Hell on Wheels and a bunch of other stuff. But, like, they were able to somehow outsmart Gerard Butler's character. And to me, like, that didn't sit well with me. Like, I felt like Gerard Butler wouldn't just leave all that fucking evidence laying around like that for them to be able to just find. Like, I thought that it was going to be a red herring, and then he was just going to, like, at the very end be like, you know, I outsmarted you again and shit. And, like, got away. But instead it was like, he fucking blew himself up. As soon as, like, he came back and fucking Jamie Foxx was in the cell and he was surprised, I was like, this movie fucking just blew it at the end. That was...
I didn't mind it.
I just thought it was...
I thought it was a good ending.
Really? I don't know. I thought it was just lazy. I felt like the rest of the movie was really, really good, but then when it got to that point, like, they literally, like, just were like, well, Jamie Foxx is, like, top billed, so he has to, like, win in this movie. And I was like, okay. Whatever.
Yeah, he was, like, a million steps ahead of everyone throughout the whole movie until the very end.
That's why, that's the only reason, like, if they had made it where, like, it was back and forth, but it was never like that. It was never back and forth, and then at the very end, Gerard Butler just somehow became, like, an idiot. And, like, Jamie Foxx was like, I fucking knew all along. Here's the bomb. It's under your shit. Are you sure you want to do this? You have to live with it for the rest of your life. It feels like they did that just so
that was a great line, though.
No, I mean, that's the whole reason. I feel like that's the only reason they even did that. Was so they could have some stupid one-liner at the end of the movie. Where he's like... Which I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't put that in the trailer. Because it was so, like, action movie cliche. Like, I don't know. Like, I understand, like... I don't know, I guess they couldn't just have Gerard Butler, like, get away with all this shit. Because it has to have, like, a fucking, you know, you have to have a typical, you know, the good guy triumphs. But to me, I didn't really feel like Gerard Butler was the bad guy. Like, he was, but I don't know.
He was raging against the machine, man.
Jamie Foxx was a piece of shit in this movie. Like, I didn't feel like he was any better. Like, he fucking didn't give a shit about his daughter's recital. He'd rather go watch a fucking execution than his daughter's recital. And then, like, at the end, they show him, like, clapping for his daughter. And I'm like, yeah, the only reason why you're even alive is because Gerard Butler pretty much let you live throughout the entire movie. Like, he could have fucking destroyed you if he wanted to. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I love the movie. It was just the ending felt very, like... I don't know if you guys have, like, heard of Death Note or, like, watched it. But, like, there's a point in that, like, comic where it kind of gets to this point where they, like, this guy's, like, 10 steps ahead of everybody, and then they end up, like, kind of taking a 90-degree turn, and, like, he becomes, like, an idiot. So I don't know if, like, it was, like, Gerard Butler's hubris kind of, like, fucked him, but, like, I don't know. I'll let you guys talk about it, what you think. I know you guys said you liked the ending. I just thought it was a little jarring from what happened in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like... I don't even know where to begin. Gerard Butler in this movie is like the greatest supervillain in the history of, like, movies.
Yeah, I think that's probably why...
His plans are, like, so ridiculously over the top.
Yeah,
they work flawlessly every time. It's
right. Yeah, I think that's probably why I liked his character way more than Jamie Foxx's character, because he was, like, 100 times more, like... I don't know, he was just, like, a badass, but, like, you didn't even, like... I don't know. Yeah, he... he just had, like... It was, like, the whole, like, Batman thing, where, like, he had a fucking thing for every situation.
Yeah.
But then... Yeah, it was just kind of, like... I was happy, though, that, like, at the beginning of this movie, a rape did not occur, even though it looked like one was about to. So,
that was pretty rough.
I will give this movie props for fucking avoiding a on-screen rape.
Yeah, for sure.
That's something
I think
my
favorite scene in the movie, though, is that courtroom scene where he's like, really?
Yeah. To the judge.
Destroyed the judge.
Yeah. And he destroyed the judge later.
I love in movies where a character gets really, really mad,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Gerard Butler throughout this whole movie. Like he's
Right.
so insanely mad the whole time that he was willing to go to like kill so many innocent people to prove his point.
Those people weren't innocent. They deserved what they had coming to them.
One could argue that.
Actually, the first two people did. Like the guy that got executed just took the fall for the real villain in this movie, and the real villain in this movie gets fucking brutally tortured and murdered like within the first like 30 minutes or so of this film, or maybe hour, which was shocking to me because I was like, well, what the fuck are they gonna do now? But then it became, okay, I see what they're doing with this movie. It's like Gerard Butler wanted to go to prison because he's like, I can do whatever the fuck I want, so I can get out of prison. I can,
Just like Bam Margera.
right, do whatever the fuck he wants. I like how one of my notes is Jamie Foxx fucked up, and then one of my notes was Jamie Foxx would rather watch a man die than go to his own daughter's recital.
Okay, I want to talk about both those things. So the first one is
About how Jamie Foxx fucked up.
yes,
Yeah.
that's not true. Throughout this whole movie, like his boss keeps like coming down to him, like you really f this up. He's a lawyer, right? It's not a lawyer's job to prevent crimes from being committed. That's
No,
where are the police in this movie?
Jamie Foxx
How is it-
Jamie Foxx fucked up by like taking that deal without even letting Gerard Butler have a say in it.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
that's what I
agree on
meant.
that,
Yeah.
But
Are you talking about where his like fucking like friend that like at first was his like it was his boss, but then 10 years later they're like best pals? Was like, you really fucked this one up or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand what he was talking about.
and like Jamie Foxx and Chief O'Brien are running around like trying to prevent this. Why are they the first guys like leading the police?
Why is the
Where's the SWAT team?
Yeah, like Harvey Dent in Batman wasn't going around and arresting people.
It's not his job.
Right. He's the one that
legislative
like
branch.
yeah, he's the dude that like is like on the other side of that, like making sure that the shit that like the police like get like actually sticks and like putting it through the courts, not like going out and like putting people in handcuffs and shit.
Yeah, I know.
Mom
Like,
said,
this is
"What
so
about
crazy. Like they,
Oh yeah.
about his cellmate?" Big grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically did that to get into like solitary,
Yeah.
where he needed to go,
Where he
which
shit
was connected to the warehouse.
he shivved the fuck out of his like super nice cellmate.
Yeah.
Even though I guess you could argue that like he was super nice in terms of prison, but that guy did threaten to beat the fuck out of him if he didn't give him some of his food. And then Gerard Butler just shivs him, and like the guy's like, meh.
yeah, that was one of the worst stabbings I've ever seen in a movie. I was like, good lord, man.
Yeah, he just kept stabbing him in the throat, and the guy just like gave up. He's like, I'm just gonna fall asleep.
But what was worse is he ordered that steak medium, and they delivered it medium rare.
I like how like they were like, fuck him, we're gonna take our time, and then it ended up being that like if they had gotten there, if they had like actually done what he said, they would have been able to save that guy. Like,
Right.
dude,
right.
that warden in that movie was like more incompetent than the warden from fucking like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
It's like, what is with these stupid ass wardens? I think that's a thing in movies. Every warden is like an idiot or something. Yeah.
And that execution, like that was insane too.
Oh, like you mean like where the dude like that took the fall like was getting a lethal injection?
Yeah.
And he fucking
Do they really like present the person to the audience like in a crucifixion pose? I was like, this is so theatrical.
From what I don't know about that. I do know that like, people, I'm pretty sure that people just lay down on the bed. I don't know if it raises like that and then it lowers.
And then it seems so unnecessary. And then like there's the whole machine that injects the 3 different like poisons or whatever.
I literally thought it was just a person, but I mean, I guess that makes sense because I think that they end up doing like a machine now because they don't want to have any one person like feeling like they were the one that like back in the day when they would like have someone pull the fucking electric chair fucking lever, like now it's like two people have to put a key in, so neither one of them can really feel like they were the specific one that like fucking did it. It's like, yeah, I think that
like everything in this movie, it was so over the top. I was like loving it.
Why did they like bring? I don't understand why that lady came to see the fucking execution.
There were like 40 people watching.
Yeah.
Do all those people need to be there?
Not only that, but like, I'm not like I'm not a police person, and I'm not like a lawyer, but like, to me, it was like so obvious that guy like he was like a model citizen, and they were like, this is the man that did it. Darby is innocent. I'm like, you just look at that other guy and you know he's the fucking person that did all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand. Not only that, but like somehow Jamie Foxx like forgot the name of Darby 10 years later. I'm like, he's like, what's his name? I don't even remember his name. They're like, Darby whatever. And I was like, okay, I don't know. Jamie Foxx, like,
so, yeah,
I don't know. His character was kind of like
messed up when he like screwed Gerard Butler. Basically, are lawyers allowed to just make decisions like that on their own and go against like their own clients' wishes?
I think that's not. Yeah, I think that's not allowed as far as like. Yeah, I mean,
like,
well, not only that, but he could have just fired Jamie Foxx and gotten someone else and been like, dude, whatever he says doesn't go because that's fucking bullshit. Because, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that was kind of like that's why I say Jamie Foxx is a shitty person in this movie, because like he literally was just like, even all like. So, like, there are multiple times when his friends are like, did we, like, do the right thing? Like, did we just spend all our lives, like, going for convictions instead of the right thing? And that's when I thought maybe that was the other person that was working with Gerard Butler. But there was no other person working with Gerard Butler. He was just sneaking out all the time and doing this shit himself. So, having said that, since those people were not on Gerard Butler's side, they were still fucking agreeing with what he was saying. So Jamie Foxx was pretty much like going for convictions regardless of if it was good or not, like, and all this other shit, or if it was the right thing to do. Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they were questioning, like, did all these 10 years, did we do the right thing? Should we have, like, should we have been more about, like, the clients or whatever? But, like, Jamie Foxx was just like, who gives a fuck? And I'm like, okay.
Well, plus, when he was at work, like, they were having an important meeting, but he was doodling on his legal pad.
Yeah, he didn't give a fuck.
Paying attention.
Yeah. He was honestly, like, the most, like, hubris person in this movie. Like, Gerard Butler could have been, but he was, like, he had the shit to back it up. He was, like, super smart, and, like, he could have killed, like, everyone in that city if he wanted to, and nobody would have known. But, like...
It could have been biblical.
But he didn't. You know what I mean? That's the thing, is, like, he was a bad person, but he didn't randomly kill, like, he didn't go out and just kill someone on the street. He killed people that he thought specifically were part of the problem and had, like, wronged other people in the justice system. So yeah, he was a bad guy, but he didn't, like I said, he wasn't like Jack the Ripper. He didn't go out and just kill, like, an innocent woman. I guess he did kill that one innocent woman, but she worked for Jamie Foxx, so I don't know. It's like I said, I'm not saying like Gerard Butler was the good guy in this movie, but I think it would have been a little bit better if they had actually made Jamie Foxx a character that I cared about. Like, he was like Christian Bale from American Psycho. He was like up his own ass the whole time, thinking he was like the greatest shit ever.
I was rooting for him to get killed. I was like,
yeah, me too. And then when he won at the end, I was like, okay, fuck this movie. Not like fuck the whole movie, but fuck that ending. I think that's why I was so upset, because Gerard Butler was the better character, and he was more relatable. And Jamie Foxx was like, fuck my family. I'm gonna miss this recital to see a man get executed. Like, I don't have like it had happened so many times that his daughter was just like, oh, he's got work. I'm like, dude, your daughter made you French toast. Like,
his wife is Regina Hall,
Hmm.
who's one of my favorite actors because she's like the best friend in the Scary Movie.
I was about to say that. Yeah, she was scary.
She's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at one point, like, did you notice when he's like leaving to go to work, he like bumps her.
Yeah.
I was like, dude. What the
He
hell?
like checks her into the wall,
Yeah. It's like, this is a
hockey
bad dude.
style.
Get rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, she should have had more screen time. Jamie
I
Foxx
know, I
was
love when
like,
she pops up in movies.
and I'm not like, I don't hate Jamie Foxx. I'm not trying to like shit on him or anything. It's just like I feel like in a lot of the movies he's in, he's kind of like this, and it's like he was so full of himself in this movie, and I'm like, dude, we get it. You're an actor now. Like, fucking stop being such an asshole in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Gerard Butler's the fucking shit in anything he's in, so I don't know. He was awesome in this movie too. And like I said, Jamie Foxx can't act. It was just his character was such a dick. It was like, why the fuck would I ever want this guy to live? They honestly should have made fucking Colm Meaney the main character in this movie, opposite Gerard Butler, because Jamie Foxx was an asshole.
Yeah, that could have been good.
I'm glad he got as
I
much
like
screen
Gerard
time as
Butler.
he did, though.
I know. I wish he was in more movies.
I think he might. I think he might start to be in more movies because he's been in a lot more stuff since Star Trek that I've seen. That, like, you know, as far as like in not in main parts, but like side parts that have enough screen time for him to be considered like he was like third or fourth build in this movie. So it's not like he was like, you know. I mean, obviously, like Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler were 1 and 2, but like. You know what I mean? Like, he was definitely built. He wasn't built like, hey, also fucking Colm Meaney.
He was in Con Air and he curses so much in the movie.
Jamie Foxx
So
was a
great.
meanie in this movie.
Yeah, he was the real meanie.
Also, you know what? Actually, I wrote this note and I didn't bring it up yet, but like, halfway through this movie, I was watching it and I was like, dude, Gerard Butler reminds me of like, if Q from James Bond became just like a killer, because he had like he was so smart, and like in the beginning of this movie when he kidnaps Darby, the gun that he gives Darby to like essentially like what's it called, like escape and then like kidnap himself with, because he's dressed up as a policeman. Like he tries to shoot Gerard Butler with that gun, but as he goes to shoot, like it's out of bullets, and then like he presses like a button that like has these little like needles extract from or go out, like poke out of the fucking handle of the gun and go into his hand, that like puts pufferfish toxin into his fucking body that like makes him not be able to move. And also, like, this is one of the only movies I've ever seen where like if somebody's being tortured, like nobody came to say, like this guy was never saved. Like all they show is like he gets taken into this warehouse, he's like, I'm gonna do all this horrible shit to you, and the guy's like flipping out about it. Then they cut away. They see Gerard Butler throw the keys to the police officer that he like actually kidnapped and took his uniform from. And then he drives away in his own car. And then the next day they find the dude's body in like 1 billion pieces. So like the guy was like so fucked. Like usually that doesn't happen in movies. Usually something goes wrong and like, but it was just
Right.
straight up like
The villain explains their plot, and then someone can get out of it. But in this case, nope.
yeah, he just straight
through with
it happened, and I was just like, that's legit. Also, like the music at the end of this movie was like super inappropriate. I felt like it was like generic rock song.
I didn't really notice.
It was like not inappropriate as in like a bad song, but it was just like it was like or like something like that, and I was like, why is it playing like some like, you know, like I don't know, like 70s Biddle guitar rock song at the end of this like super tense fucking movie. It's not like this was like an Arnold Schwarzenegger like action flick. This was like a thriller. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird because like the music after that was literally just like soundtrack stuff. So yeah, there was no rape in this movie.
I have several notes just about like why did they send lawyers, not cops?
Like are you talking about like when they first go to arrest fucking Gerard Butler and fucking for some reason Jamie Foxx is in the cars too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Why are they personally involved? Where are the cops?
Yeah, it's like I feel like this movie was like
the city is under siege. Like the whole city is in a panic because of like these terrorist attacks that keep happening. Yet there's just a couple lawyers running around trying to solve the problem.
not only that, but
And
like
at the end of the movie, they're like, "Where's the bomb squad?" And it's just one guy, and he's like, "You're looking at him." It's like, "What?
Yeah.
I thought the city was on high alert." Like,
not only that, but why the fuck was the city on high alert? It was literally they were just killing random. It was like if people were getting killed in the city, are they just gonna lock it down? It's just fucking.
yeah, they did. They did. Remember? She's like,
No, I said like.
guards on every
Yeah, but
corner.
why? They wouldn't do that in real life.
Yeah, they would if there were terror attacks happening. Like, remember?
Yeah,
the,
but those weren't terror
Washington, D.C.
attacks.
Sniper. Yeah, they were.
How?
Like when all those cars blew up.
Yeah, that happened like one time in a prison, like miles away from the city. It wasn't like he blew any of that shit up in the middle of the city. I can see if they
What
did
about
that.
the cemetery attack.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, where they blew up that
There's
fuck.
civilians being
They
killed.
blew up. Dude, those fuckers had it coming. Those weren't civilians. Those were like lawyers.
Their lawyers are civilians.
They were just doing that because they were fucking bitches and they were like, oh, we gotta protect our own. You know, if those were regular people and they weren't like tied to fucking like the judicial system, they wouldn't have fucking locked down the city. Not only that, but good luck locking down the city these days. They tried to do that shit for like fucking COVID and that didn't happen. People did whatever the fuck they wanted. So that's how you know this is fucking fiction.
What did you think about that cell phone that turned into a gun?
Oh, where she like fucking answered the phone. I knew like either like when she answered the phone it was gonna blow up and kill her. I wasn't expecting a gunshot. That was legit.
Oh, over the top.
I knew that like she was gonna die though right then because she said that and it was just like the way that it was like I don't know. I just felt it was gonna happen, but like I said, I didn't know it was gonna be a gun, so that's why it was so like legit. Yeah, I liked everything in this movie that like Gerard Butler did. It was fucking awesome.
I always wonder why he most of the times does an American accent.
Yeah, because
Like, why can't he just use his regular, like,
yeah.
does Colmini use an American accent in this? I feel like he just has a
Yeah,
normal
you
voice.
know, yeah, he had like a more American accent.
Really?
Yeah, but it was kind of on the verge. It wasn't like I'm not saying he did a bad job. I'm just saying that like
I think
It was
Gerard
on the
Butler's
verge.
accent is not the best.
in this
Like,
movie.
In any movie, like this movie and like the London Has Fallen and all those.
I've never seen that.
Like they're pretty good.
I've
That series
seen
is pretty good.
I've seen him in obviously Mad Max and he was in that movie, right? I'm not fucking high.
I don't think so.
Wasn't that him that was in the newest Mad Max, or was that somebody else?
That was Tom Hardy.
Oh, I always get those guys confused.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But-
Maybe I've not been talking about Gerard Butler. Maybe I've been talking about Tom Hardy this whole time. As far as like, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember any other movie then that I've seen him in, besides this movie.
Yeah, like the Olympus Has Fallen series. I think there's 3 of them now. They're pretty good.
Oh, I thought they looked stupid,
Highly
so I never watched them.
Well, they are stupid, but in like a good way.
Hmm.
Like a over the top, kind of like some of the older Arnold movies.
Oh. Are they better than Steven Seagal movies? Like the newest ones he's done, where he's like sitting down the whole time and he's CG'd into the movie?
I think everything's better than that.
So, not to like interrupt or take a side, but I guess I'm doing both. But this movie had a budget of $53 million. Guess how much money it made?
I don't know.
Interesting guess.
30?
No, it made more than that. What do you think, Trev?
45.
Nope. This movie actually made $126 million in theaters, which is shocking because I would not have been shocked to see this movie make zero money in the theaters, just because it deserved to make that money. It just was. I was kind of shocked.
I don't remember it being a big hit.
Right, that's why. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't make another one. I guess how could they have made another one though? They're like, he didn't actually die. He's fucking fine. Which is actually kind of surprising because, like, I feel like movies these days, they would have found a way to, like, bullshit it and be like, actually, that was, like, some dude with a fucking, like, mask on pretending to be fucking Gerard Butler. Where is Gerard Butler from?
I think he's Scottish.
Really? I would have never guessed that. I didn't think his accent was horrible, but I guess I didn't really know where he was from. It didn't sound like, like completely American, but it wasn't like fucking Rick Grimes, where it was like he was like chewing the fuck out of Alabama. Oh shit, he was in fucking 300.
Yeah, I think that was his first big movie.
I'm like looking through his shit to see if there's anything I've ever seen him in that like that, you know what I mean? Like, I've seen him in this. In 300. Okay, never mind. Maybe I've never really seen him in anything else, so I guess I can't really. He was in Wes Craven Presents Dracula 2000. He played Dracula in that movie. So.
I had a couple people like, he was in Gladiator, right? I was like, no.
Yeah. I could see someone getting fucking confused about fucking that, because it's
300.
like, yeah. Oh, he played Stoic in How to Train Your Dragon. Who is that? That's, guess he's the dad of the main character. Okay. Yeah, and like you say, he's Mike Banning in the Olympus movies. He was a leprechaun in movie 43. His greatest film to date.
I saw movie 43. I thought it was pretty funny.
That movie is weird because it's like such an abortion that it has like a bunch of different editions.
Right.
So like, I could have seen the movie, Trav could have seen it, and you could have seen it, and there could have been 3 different versions that we all saw, because it's like just so weird with that. Oh, he is from Scotland, Mom says. Cop Shop. So he's got a bunch of movies that are that are in pre-production, that are like, and then he's actually got like 3 that are in post-production. So it's like, he's got a bunch of shit coming out. It's just,
Greenland just came out. It's like a disaster movie.
Greenland.
Really Greenland. I'm looking forward to that one.
He's been in 66 movies. That's actually not as many as I thought. Yeah, I think I was thinking of Tom Hardy. Fuck. Well, sorry,
Gotta start the podcast over.
Sorry, Gerard Butler. I gave you undue praise. I mean, he was good in this movie, though, so it's not like I'm like...
No doubt. No doubt.
No doubt. Well...
No doubt, mini-me.
Actor. Actor has 58 credits. Tom Hardy has 58 credits, so... It's not a shit ton more. I don't know.
Gerard Butler's better. He has more.
That's true. More is better. So, like, somebody like... I don't know. I'm trying to think of somebody that probably has a ton of credits in movies that is, like, probably shit. But a lot of people that generally are in movies a lot, like Doug Jones, are good. They're just like background players. Or like Jeffrey Combs. Like, he's been in like a billion movies, I'm sure, and he's like awesome. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Law Abiding Citizen, did you find it distracting that they kept calling Jamie Foxx's character Mr. Rice? Because I did. I didn't do it, Mr. Rice.
I honestly, I didn't even think about that until you just mentioned that.
Really?
I kind of think it's weird that, like, when people call other people Mr. When it's like, you know, when it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I would never, like, say to my boss Mr. or Mrs. and then their last name. You know, I'd just be like, I don't know. I guess it's, like, way more...
Say Mr. and then their first name.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Mike.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that where he, like, yeah. Mom says, can you believe he studied law? Yeah, we're like... He pretty much spent 10 years, like, brushing up on the law, just... Essentially,
Yeah, like
for that one scene.
What's that?
Was it essentially just for that one scene, I guess?
That was so good because he was schooling, like, he was throwing out these, like, case
Yeah.
examples, and Jamie Foxx was like, well, we're never going to beat that. Like, they don't even try.
Yeah, not only
I
that...
think that's
Yeah.
pretty much my favorite scene. Is the courtroom.
Yeah. I think that's...
I might
yeah.
agree with you guys.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
I think that's probably why, like, the ending was so annoying, because, like, he ran circles around everyone in this movie, like, as far as how smart he was. Like, he could have got himself out and left at any time he wanted. He could have...
He did, yeah.
Right, he could have done anything he wanted, and he did do really whatever he wanted, but, like, he could have got himself out. There are so many times he could have never got himself caught, like he would have never gotten caught, but he purposely left evidence at the crime scene so he could be caught. He confessed when he didn't have to, so they would keep him in prison longer. He got himself, like, the judge was about to give him, like, the ability to, like, post bail, and then he was like, you're a fucking dumb bitch. And she was like, excuse me? And then he's like, you know what? I don't think I will excuse you. I just fed you a line of bullshit. Some legal mumbo jumbo, and you fell for it like a bitch in heat. And I was like, Jesus!
Yeah, I was cracking
And
up
then he
at
was
that
like
point.
taking her, he was like ripping everybody apart, and then he was just like, I bet you take it up the ass, you bitch. I was like,
Good Lord, man.
yeah. I mean that just shows that, like,
doesn't get much better than that.
like, I mean, that judge also was just like, you know, that part where, like, Jamie Foxx is like, you're always getting on my ass about taking out my phone, and she's like, well, the good thing is I'm a judge and I can do whatever the fuck I want, and then, like, she, like, gets killed, and I'm like, dude, Gerard Butler was, like, correct about all these people. They're all, like, they don't give a fuck about anybody but, like, themselves. So, like, you know, fuck them.
He put the whole system on trial.
He did. He would have got away with it, too, if it wasn't for fucking the plot. Fucking him in the end. But, like, yeah, so he got out there.
The more we talk about it, the more I agree with you, I think.
Well, I'm not trying to, like, shit on this movie. I like this movie a lot, and I'll definitely watch it again at some point. It's just, there's actually a couple people, like, after I, like, you know, watched the movie, I went on IMDb to get, like, the plot synopsis and all this stuff. And there was a couple people that were saying the same thing. They were like, just turn off the movie, like, 5 or, like, 10 or 15 minutes before it's over and just, like, make up your own ending. Because, like, it's mainly the way that, like, they're completely baffled about how he's doing any of this stuff. And then out of nowhere, like, they're able to, like, put it all together. And not only that, but, like, They make it back. They get the bomb. They make it back to the prison before he does. And put it under his bed. And Jamie Foxx is waiting for him in the dark. And not only that, but, like, Gerard Butler is, like, surprised by all this. Like, to me, like, them finding all that stuff should have been, like, a thing where Gerard Butler set all that up. So that, like, when... Like, I thought that when, like Chief O'Brien opened that fucking cell, it was going to be, like, a bomb and he was going to get killed or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, I thought he was going to die because... But as soon as he opened that and they were like, oh, he's not here, and that showed where he really was, that's when the movie kind of lost me, because I was like, these are two different characters. Gerard Butler's character would have never... He would have left it like that if he wanted them to find it, but he would have never left it like that thinking anybody could ever find it. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense. Like, the way that, like, the character was set up in the previous, like, hour and 30 minutes, like, that character would have never just accidentally been caught. You know what I mean? Like, if he wanted to be caught, he would have been caught, but it would have never just happened unless he wanted it to. And then out of nowhere, they're like, Jamie Foxx figured it all out, and fucking he's put a bomb under his shit, and he fucking... Gerard Butler is like, I want to do this. You're going to have to live with this for the rest of your life. I was right about it. The next 20 seconds you've got left. And then he, like, runs out of the fucking prison and, like, Gerard Butler blows himself up. And he's, like, sitting there as the flames go behind and in front of him. But, like, there's, like, a force field around him, not incinerating him. While he's, like, holding his, like, daughter's thing and he, like, blows up. And I'm like, it was a cool visual thing. Like, I'll give it that. It was, like, awesome.
Yeah, it was.
But... And, like, I can understand if, like, you embrace it and you're like, okay, that's awesome, you know, the way that looked and stuff. But, like, the problem is that was such a good character that, like, Jamie Foxx deserved to be killed, not Gerard Butler's character. I don't know.
He did walk away from the explosion.
Well, I mean, let me ask.
Looking at it.
What's your address so everybody that disagrees can come and kill you?
What do you think the ending should have been?
Yeah, I guess if I'm, like, shitting on it, I should come up with, like, a better ending, or at least, like, something. That's what they always say, if you're gonna, like, you know, disagree with something, you should have something to, like, replace it. I mean, honestly, I know this is, like, completely against, like, type, but, like, I honestly would have loved to see at the end of that movie, like, Gerard Butler completely, like he fakes them out and he's able to blow that fucking, like, place up with all those people in it. And he could have, like, at the end pretended to be caught by Jamie Foxx, and, like, the bomb that he puts under the thing is, like, you know, an actual bomb, but it's like they think it's an actual bomb, but he has the wrong thing for it. So if you wanted to keep that in, you could keep it, but he, like, fakes him out and ends up, like, somehow getting out of it. Or they could have just, like, earlier in the movie when they figure all that shit out, I feel like that should have been, like, a fake setup. Like, for me, like, them finding all of his costumes and all this other shit was a little too, like, easy for them. Like, I felt like that should have been something he set up. They find it, and then, like, Chief O'Brien opens that thing, and something happens, and he gets killed. And then, like, you know, what's his face? Like, Jamie Foxx is too late to save the fucking courtroom thing, and then it blows up, and then it just shows, like, at the end of the movie, Gerard Butler, like, getting away. And he just leaves Jamie Foxx, like, pretty much with everything around him is destroyed. Because I don't think that he necessarily wanted to kill Jamie Foxx. I think that, like, he wanted to destroy everything that, like, Jamie Foxx...
Around him?
Yeah. So, like, even though it, like, I think that was probably worse than killing Jamie Foxx, was to, like, kind of leave it the way Gerard Butler was, where he literally had nothing. Like, Gerard Butler got his family taken from him, and he was just, like, got no solace pretty much, so he had to take it into his own hands. And so then he put it on Jamie Foxx because Jamie Foxx was like the person that could have one way or the other helped Gerard Butler, but instead he was just like he took the easy deal. So I don't know. There's way better ways that like I could have come up with, or somebody else could have come up with. Like you guys probably could have come up with a better way to end it. I'm just throwing it out there because it's like I said, I like this movie a lot. I don't want to like it to come off like I didn't like this movie. Like I said, I'll watch this movie again. It's just I can't say enough, and I think this is like the 5th time I've said it, but like Gerard Butler has 2 characters in this movie. The one that's at like the first hour and 30 minutes of this movie, and the one that's in the last 15 minutes where he becomes like a dumbass. And it's just for plot device to make Jamie Foxx like the fucking like badass hero in this movie. When like throughout the entire movie he had no clue about any of this. Like he was like so, you know, not that he was clueless, he just was like, he would ask other people. Like the lady was like, what do you think we should do? And he's like, I don't know. And so she figures out the properties and all that shit. Like what does Jamie Foxx actually do in this movie that like would have ever like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He suddenly turns into like a master detective. And I'm like, dude, he's a fucking like DA. Like, I don't know. Like you were saying, Matt, like he's doing all the shit that like, I think they wanted Jamie Foxx to be like the judge, jury, and executioner in this movie. Like, but they didn't want to like have him be a police officer. So they like,
yeah, it made no sense.
He was like a DA that could do, he did all the police work as well, and they had Colm Meaney there, so it literally wasn't just some random DA running around doing everything. It was like, oh, well, he's with this guy, but like Colm Meaney never really did anything except for just be cool. He was just there to listen to what Jamie Foxx had to say. Like, I feel like if Colm Meaney had his own kind of like scenes without Jamie Foxx, it probably would have been a lot better because it would have shown like him coming up with like, holy shit, we found this or we got to do that. But it was like there was nobody that rivaled Gerard Butler's intellect in this movie. So I think it would have been different if it was, like I said, back and forth.
There's no one that's rivaled his intellect in any movie ever.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He was the ultimate genius.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, but, like, then they were like, well, we can't have Jamie Foxx, this huge star, be fucking below Gerard Butler's character. So, like, at the end of this movie, he's got to fucking outsmart Gerard Butler, the fucking 50,000 IQ character that, like, has been in wars and, like, killed fucking, like, they couldn't figure out how, at one point they say, like, oh, we couldn't figure out how to kill this guy. We were dropping bombs and all this other shit, and we couldn't get him. And then we got Gerard Butler involved, and he made this necktie that fucking, like the bad guy's wife came home and found him dead because it had, like, pretty much choked him to death. So he made a fucking necktie that the dude put on that, like, pretty much garrote wired the dude from, how, like, probably, like, the moon or some shit. Like, it was like he could have done whatever he wanted. But I'm led to believe that Jamie Foxx, that, like, if they had made Jamie Foxx a super smart guy in this movie, it would have made sense. But, like, he was just a normal guy. He was, like, a normal guy that was a horrible father and a shitty husband that at the end of this movie, like, became, like, the smartest man in the city. Because he outsmarted Gerard Butler. I don't know. I just wasn't...
know what they should have said throughout this movie? The
What?
Butler did it.
They're like, what are you talking about? The character's name is Clyde Shelton. I would have been there. He just keeps saying that, and they put Jamie Foxx in a insane asylum. They're like, the Butler did it. The Butler did it. Oh, man. No, I like this movie. I definitely would recommend you watch this movie. If me shitting on the ending didn't deter you.
Yeah, I mean, the logic of this movie makes no sense, but, like, that doesn't matter at all because the movie's all about, like, how over the top it can get and just, like, how awesome Gerard Butler is at being a supervillain, basically.
Yeah, his
I
character
completely
is...
agree with Matt though. Like, where are the cops at?
Yeah, it's like I feel like they wrote this script and then they were like, "Fuck, we gotta have cops in this movie," and they were like, "Okay, well, just put fucking Cole Meany in this movie as like the detective, and he'll just run around with Jamie Foxx for the last bit of the movie." Cause like
they found out City Hall was going to be blown up, and they were the first. The lawyer was the first to arrive at the scene.
he was the first one to see it.
Why?
Not only that, but like I've never watched a movie where I didn't really know that like the detective was a detective till like they said he was a detective. Usually it's obvious as fuck, but like when Cole Meany shows up in the beginning, I was like, why is he here? Like, what is he here to talk about? Because before that, like, Jamie Foxx was everywhere, so I'm like, it made me forget that, like, he wasn't a police officer, because he was going places that a fucking DA just shouldn't and wouldn't go. Like, he has better shit to do than to, like, investigate crimes.
Exactly.
So, like, what is he doing? But then, like, Cole Meany shows up with this other guy, and I'm like, well, who are these guys? Is this a priest or something? Because I thought he was wearing one of those little things, but it was his tie. And I was like, okay, well, what is he doing here? And he's like, hi, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, somebody's like, it's Detective fucking Chief O'Brien. And I was like, okay. So this guy's the detective. Well, what the fuck is Jamie Foxx doing? And then I guess he's doing whatever he wants, because, like I said, this is a movie mainly of, like, plot. Like, Jamie Foxx wanted to do everything in this movie, and that's kind of just what happened. So... Like I said, I'm not. I feel like I'm shitting on Jamie Foxx a lot in this movie, but it's mainly like, I think me kind of looking at like the status quo and being like, yeah, that's kind of like how it is in this movie. Like, I don't know. Like he's a great actor, but like he didn't need to do everything himself. Like they should have had like I said, Cole Meany do more as the police guy instead of just have, like, literally Jamie Foxx being like, I'll be the fucking judge, the jury, and the executioner. I'm fucking the cop and the DA. I'm like, I'll arrest people, and then I'll go and fucking try them. I'm like, isn't that kind of like a fucking, like, I don't know, like, what would you call that? Like a conflict of interest. Let me arrest this person, then I'm gonna try them. You know, like the only thing you would have to do is just outsmart the judge at that point. And that lady seemed like an idiot, so
that's why the system was invented this way, like, to have the checks and balances.
Right, because like back in the day, fucking like in Nottingham, they would have some dude just fucking arrest somebody, and then they would be like, okay, well, you're being executed. Like, there's no trial. It's like, okay. Where were the cops? Yeah. That's a question, right?
It doesn't matter. This movie's awesome.
Yeah, it's true. It is. I wish this movie would get well, I don't know. I guess it can't get a sequel. I was thinking about the other ending where fucking Gerard Butler didn't get enveloped in, CG flames. I will say though, those flames did not look fake. I thought they looked really good. So, like where the explosion was going off, like obviously I wasn't like he's really being killed, but like, you know, like the shot was so good that it wasn't like, oh, this is faker than fuck. It wasn't like watching a video game. It was like literally everything around him was real, and then like the slow motion flames like coming up around behind him and then like below him, like everything was just yeah. It was funny that like they cut away from that and they didn't show him being like incinerated, but like they showed like the gruesome ass fucking like scene of fucking Darby, like his head had its eyelids cut off and all this other shit. I was like,
well, that's how you know that he actually survived.
Oh, that's true. Shit, maybe he did survive. This like I said, this movie made quite a lot of money compared to its like, you know, how much it cost to make it. So he could have survived. I'd watch a sequel to this movie. But only if Gerard Butler fucking is the main character. I guess he was kind of like the main character.
Actually, replace him with Tom Hardy. He's better.
It would be Gerard Butler, Tom Hardy, and fucking what's his face? What's the guy you said, Trav, that like everybody thought Gerard Butler was in this movie? From Gladiator.
Oh damn, I forget now.
I'm like, it was Walking Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russell Crowe. Just have all three of them in it, and it'll be like...
Get him in there, too.
Yeah, it'll be the fucking Shelton brothers. It'll be like all three of them fucking Three Stooges style, like fucking up Jamie Foxx. Okay, well...
Cool. Well, thanks for recommending this movie, Trav.
Yeah, seriously.
It was fun to watch and fun to talk about.
Yeah. It was pretty much, it felt like it was me just complaining about the ending the whole time, so I apologize if anybody wanted to hear anybody else say anything in this podcast. Do you guys have any other notes?
I have one final question.
Oh, Jesus.
Who was the law-abiding citizen?
That's a good question, actually. Like, I know you...
I don't think there was one.
Well, I was actually going to say, I think you were, like, possibly kidding, but now that I think about it, like, that's not actually a joke question. That's a real question. Because, yeah, Jamie Foxx... If it wasn't evident throughout the entire movie, there's a part at the end where they find one of his properties, and, like, Cole Meany's like, what about his civil rights? And he's like, fuck his civil rights. And then he smiles. And that I was like, okay, this is when this movie became an action, like, like one-liner, movie. Because he says that, and fucking Cole Meany smiles and is like, yes! And I'm like, dude, you're a fucking cop too. What are you doing? This is highly fucking illegal. Pretty much, if they just arrested him at that point, anything they found in there would have been not admissible in court because they got it via illegal search and seizure. Not like, you know what I mean? Like they would have had to have a warrant, which earlier in the movie they like get the judge to sign some random bullshit piece of paper. I don't even know why. It was like to keep him in prison longer maybe or something, or I don't really know what it was for. You know what I mean? You remember that when she died? Like,
I'm not sure.
But she she was also fucking not a law-abiding citizen because she was like, fuck it, I'll do it because I'm a judge. I'll do whatever I want. And I'm like, okay, these people are just not following any of the fucking laws. They're just doing whatever the fuck they want. Which is funny because at the whole thing that set this off was apparently the correct laws and procedures weren't followed so that like those guys could get off scot-free. So like when it comes to like Gerard Butler's rights in this movie, like like they are nothing, but when it comes to like killers' rights, they mean everything. Look, huh? Oh well. That's a good last question though. Cool. Well, next week we have Bloodsport. I've never seen that movie, but I've heard of it.
Oh man,
I know pretty much what it's about because it's a pretty classic movie. But that was nominated by a friend of the podcast, Sneedles, Chris Sneed. Used to work with him at GameStop. He nominated that, so we'll watch that. That stars who was it again? Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think that's one of his like huge breakout roles from what I remember. But Trav, have you ever seen Bloodsport?
Nope.
No. Yeah.
I'll watch it though.
Everyone should see it.
Yeah, everybody should. Yeah, if you want to watch
You guys are in for a treat.
Tune in and we'll talk about that. Any last words, Trav? You got anything to say that you want to say about this movie or anything else?
Nope, not really. What about Matt?
It's like
you
I hated
anything to say?
Yeah.
about the movie?
You got anything to say for yourself?
Where are the cops?
Yeah.
Where's the bomb squad? You're looking at it. Well, where's the rest of them? Like, they're supposed to be on high alert.
Right.
What are they doing?
Not only that, okay, so they go in there and fucking they get searched too. I'm like, huh? You know the fucking guy that's doing all this shit is fucking in prison. Like, God. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, I guess my final thought would be it's a good thing they delivered that steak bone in, or else this plan would have ended right there.
Yeah, I actually didn't even think about that, but that's also true. That's also true.
It's also true.
Yeah, because if they hadn't, he wouldn't have been able to, like, kill that fucking man. I was going to say innocent man, but that guy wasn't in prison for no reason, so I'm sure he did something.
What if he was?
That's
What
true.
These lawyers and these judges.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that
Could've
does
been
happen all the
innocent
time. People do get sent to prison when they didn't actually do anything, so he could be in prison for no reason. He could have just killed an innocent man, but I guess he killed a couple innocent people earlier in the movie with his later with his explosions. But I think the only person he killed that was truly kind of innocent was that like lady that like worked for Jamie Foxx, because the dude that was like Jamie Foxx's like mentor, that guy was a shady motherfucker, and so was like Jamie Foxx and like everybody else. Like that lady was probably the most innocent person he killed. So I don't know. Cool. So
Cool. Thanks, Trav. It was good to hear from you.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
we'll have to make this a thing where you come by every once in a while and when you nominate a movie and say your piece. So yeah. Until next time, I'll let you guys say something and then I'll stop the podcast here. So Trav, you say something, and then Matt, you say something, and that'll be it.
All right. Where are the cops? That's it.
The butler did it.
Okay. Cool. See you guys later. Cool. Well, thanks for coming by, everybody. We will see you next Saturday, same time, 6 o'clock. It will be Bloodsport, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I will be on here tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So